Hey everyone, I'm Diana, and I love highlighting what people do every single day through their work, through their creativity. And today I am sitting here with the lovely Janae, who is a marriage and family therapist whose approach is grounded in empathy, collaboration, and helping people build through meaningful connections. Hey
Yes.
Janae,
Hey, girl. Thank you for having me.
of course, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
All right, good. Is there anything we need to add to your intro before we dive in?
No, I think you did that perfectly.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to ask the obvious question. What started your journey? What kind of led you to become a marriage and family therapist?
Okay, that's a fantastic question. I do have a funny story for that.
We love a funny story. Give it to us.
But in high school, I wanted to be a teacher. My mom was a teacher. She's been a teacher of some sorts all of my life. And I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I think I want to be a teacher. And he said, No, they don't make no money. So I said, okay, I want to make money. And then I realized, well, what else can I do that still keeps me kind of in the teacher field? And I went with psychology. Also to note, my dad also said there's no money in that either. So I figure, well, at least I'll do something that I really like.
Okay.
Got my undergrad from Georgia Southern in psychology, fell in love with the program, fell in love with the professors, the knowledge I was getting. And I always knew that after undergrad, I'm going to have to do something else. For one, there are no really any jobs for undergraduate degrees in psychology, not in the fields that you want to go into. And then I looked up marriage and family therapy, and it encompassed being able to see families, couples, individuals, kids. I don't see children, but I did at one point. And that's where I wanted to go. That is what spoke to me the most, being able to know that I could see anyone up to a family of eight down to one single individual that is starting their journey for their life.
That's an amazing answer. I do want to know, I was surprised when I found out that you were a marriage and family counselor, not being a therapist because you're such a jokester. So I was
Mhm.
like, Janae, really? Then like the more that you shared about your career and everything, I was like, actually, this does make sense if somebody does take the time to like sit down with you, talk with you, and kind of how you feel about family in general and like what you want to do with your life and your future family. So
Yeah.
it makes more sense to me now that you did that. So
I mean,
thank
I crack jokes in session too, so it's not always jokes.
I 100% see that. I don't see sessions being any other way. I definitely see a balance.
That's how I like it.
Okay, so you might have kind of answered this question, but you can dive in a little bit more if you like. You describe your approach as rooted in empathy and collaboration. What does that actually look like when you're sitting down with a client and or couple?
Another amazing question. That's actually something that I go over with my clients in the first initial setting. I'm non-judgmental. I think I've seen enough in my life. I've experienced enough in my life. And as you start to go deeper into psychology, you understand that there's a reason for every action. Even if it's an action that you don't typically care for, or not something that you would do in your own life, there's a reason for that. There's a purpose for why somebody got to where they are in their lives. And I welcome that in the space. I have to be open to everyone's differences. And again, things that I might not personally do, but if they're coming to therapy, it's usually because they recognize it and they want to be a better individual. It's not my job to tell you how to be that better individual. You kind of let me know this is
Right.
the path that you want to walk. Okay, well, let's do it. In collaboration, that's where the collaboration piece comes from. I can help you process. I can help you figure out where it's come from, and I can give you some guidance on how to go forward. I can give you the resources and the tools on how to accomplish your goals. So anyone that comes into session, by the third session, I'm saying, okay, what are the goals that you want? And if people say, well, I don't really know, I say, well, based off of these conversations, how do you feel about starting in this direction? Or they can come with their own goals. And again, I don't necessarily have to be the champion of their goals. I don't have to go out and say, I need to change my life to be that way. But if that's the goals that you set forward, they're healthy, they're not putting you in danger, they're not putting others in danger, let's go for it. Let's do it.
I love seeing this side of
Oh,
you.
thank you.
And I should give everyone a disclaimer who's watching this. Janae and I went to Georgia Southern together. So we were mini adults. So see her thriving in her career and just being the grown woman that she is. This is amazing to be able to sit here and chat with you and like kind of encompass with you. Like I'm like, oh, if she wasn't my friend, she'd be my therapist. So love shout
That's the biggest compliment.
girl. And you know I'm not a liar.
I
So
know, I know. Thank you.
you are very welcome. Okay, I feel like you do a great way of like segueing into my questions. My next question. I did not share questions with her, by the way, y'all.
Done.
This is the next question. A lot of people still feel nervous about therapy or think it's only for when things are really bad. What's a common misconception you wish more people understood?
You can come to therapy when you're feeling really good because there's always room for improvement in your life. And if you feel nervous about coming to therapy, I always tell people to treat it like you're looking for a new job. You need to interview the therapist, do a consultation if they offer a consultation. Go to the first session, and most therapists will structure it with giving like an elevator pitch for how they structure their sessions, what to expect, the type of therapist that they are. And then they will give you opportunities to either say like why you're here, or you can say like what is your preferred method as a therapist. Interview your therapist. If you are seeing somebody and you're uncomfortable with sharing, if you feel like you're being judged, even if it's not accurate, if you feel that way, find another therapist because you have to be in a space where you feel welcome, where you feel you like you can be honest. Because if you lie in session, you're not getting the full thing, right? So interview your therapist, shop around. You can come when things are good to have the tools for when things may not be really good. I have a fantastic example of something like that. Usually, when we're unlearning as we grow up from whatever trauma or experiences that we've had, unlearning is easy when there's nothing else going on in your head, right? You can spend that time saying, "Oh, I'm not going to crash out on that person because I've been working on myself." But imagine you've done all that work, but then you have a lot of multiple stressors that are taking up that space in your head. You won't have the time, or you won't have the ability to call on those resources as quickly sometimes. And because everything else is taking up that space in your head. So then you go out to be the crash out queen, right? But that's because you just haven't prepared. You haven't gathered the resources. You haven't practiced the tools. Sometimes the best way to do that is when you're in a good space so you can practice for the moments that may be taking that energy and that space from your mental or your head away from your ability to practice those resources and those tools that you've gathered. So come when you're feeling good. If you want to sharpen your tools,
Right.
if you're not feeling good about your therapist, if you feel like you can't be open, shop around.
Mhm. So I do have an example to share.
Please.
So with one of my therapists, so I've always only had Black women as my therapist. Are we surprised? No.
No.
Um, so I thought I was doing really well with one of my therapists, and she kind of like told me in our last couple sessions, she kind of fired me. She was like, "Hey, I feel like I'm not doing enough for you, actually."
Mm.
And that's when she introduced me to EMDR.
Yes.
And she sent me like the summary on it. She sent me some of the studies on it. And she said, if you're feeling comfortable, I'd love to help you find your next therapist. And she knew like what my criteria is, like Black woman in her 30s, period. I need to see a peer in this person who's helping me. And
Yeah.
now it's been maybe 3 years, 3 years. And honestly, it's the best decision that she could have ever made, forcefully made for me. And I was just, I had an open mindset and I was just like, yeah, I do need to do this. And boy, am I a better woman for it. Like, what? I am so like night and day. Like, of course, I'm still a thug. But
Always, always. Never doubted that.
but I'm like, okay, do we have to like start off with being a thug? Can we pivot? What are some tips that we can utilize before we get here? So I definitely think people need to see therapy as like a relationship,
Yes,
good and bad, anytime, gray area, whenever, because we're complex people. Anything can happen at any moment.
absolutely. I think a part of being a therapist is, and I'll just say, at least within session, you should have a death of your ego. It's not about you. It is about your client. I can come into session and I'm constantly thinking, am I doing enough for this client? Am I using the right modalities? Are we exercising the right things? Are we having the right tools? Like, am I providing that? Am I setting that tone? Like, what am I doing to aid this client? And then what am I doing that could be holding them back? I'm constantly in my head. And I will ask clients after a certain amount of sessions, how do you feel about your goals? Do you feel like we're on track? Is there something where you feel like we can concentrate more on? Am I not meeting your expectations? Because I need to know. Because if I can't meet them, it might not be like a me thing. It might just be that I'm not the right fit for you. So as a therapist, it should be death of your ego whenever that Zoom or that in-person session starts. It's not about you, it's about the person that is paying for you to
Mhm.
be their therapist. Are you providing the care that they really need?
I'm writing that down. Ego, yes.
Because I have clients, or I work for with a private practice where clients will reach out to us and they'll tell us, what they're looking for. And I have no problem saying, "Ooh, that's a little bit above me," or that's not something that I have the confidence of care
Mhm.
for them. However, there's someone else in the office
I love
that
that.
I can refer.
I love the transparency on both ends because, as a client, we're coming to you like the saving grace, right? Like, in
Yes,
my life, please make me better. But it's nice to
exactly.
see that transparency. And like with my past therapist, when she did that, I was like, I didn't even know, that was a thing. Like, you're telling me, like, you feel like you're not doing enough. I thought I was the problem here.
That's part of our duty, though, to provide the best care for our clients. I
Mhm.
had a young lady reach out to me on TikTok because, of course, my TikTok content, and she
Mhm.
goes, I really like your content. I would love if you can come work with some veteran women that I work with." And I was excited. And then I was like, that's not really my
Yeah.
area of expertise. But I have another lady that works at our private practice. All she does is work with veterans. And I
Right.
let the lady know, hey, thank you so much for the opportunity. I would love to still work with you in some way. But if you're looking for a therapist to come and do workshops with veteran women, you really need to contact another therapist in our office. And if you're online on social media and you're following therapists, look at their content. What is the content that they are putting out? My content and area of focus or niche is communication. So I'm expecting for couples to come to me because they're having communication or relationship issues. Single individuals to come to me because they're not communicating quite right in their lives or in their relationships, and they want to become better communicators and listeners. I follow other therapists that concentrate more on attachment styles. I follow other people that are EMDR therapists, and that is their expertise. So if you're looking for somebody and they have a social media, look at the content they're putting out. That's like going to a tattoo artist,
Yeah.
wanting a color tattoo from a black and white
Yeah.
artist.
Yeah.
You might get it. It just might not be what you were really looking for.
Right. Wow.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Of
So
course.
back into the questions.
Yeah.
You were talking about communication and meeting people where they're at and coming at any time. When couples or families come to you feeling disconnected, what's one of the first steps you take to help rebuild that connection?
Oh, okay. This question, I love this question.
Yeah.
The first thing when you have a family or a couple coming into session, I there's a lot of things that happen behind the scene. Who reached out? As they're filling out their intake forms and they send that back to me, what are they listing the problem as being? And then when I come into session, I'm kind of reading the cues, even if we're virtual. Like, is there somebody who's more
Yeah.
resistant? Is there someone who's like, yeah, them, they. So it's really about dividing the time. Couples and family therapy can be very complicated, but
Hmm.
I'm first identifying what they perceive to be the problem or the person who may be the problem or the issue. I'm looking for the resistant person that's within the session. I'm making that connection with them. If you can make the connection with the person that does not want to be there versus the person that is like, we need to be here, okay, now you're bringing two people into the room. You have two people that are buying into the process. And then we look at the problem. Is the problem really the problem, or is that like just a symptom of the real problem? When people say it's you against the problem, that is true. Because a lot of times we come in and we point fingers. It's them. I've had couples, and it's always the same issue, different people.
Hmm.
I've had couples that come in, no particular couple, and they'll be like, my partner, this person, they don't ever listen to me, and anytime I ask them to do something, like this is how they respond, and I don't like that, and it's ruining the relationship. This is fictitious. And the other person is like, I mean, I don't know how to make them happy. I don't know what they need. What I'm hearing is you guys don't know how to communicate. You guys aren't talking about the same issues. This
Right.
person is saying they need you to complete these tasks, and the other person saying, I don't know what you need. Okay, what is the case? Is it really the tasks that we're talking about, or is it how that person has communicated, how that person has or has not connected with you over the past day, week, month, year? Was it another issue that really started that underlying issue? You guys talking about tasks is not the problem. It's
Yeah.
something deeper. So
Hmm.
it's really the buy-in process that is the most important part of seeing couples and families understanding what they perceive to be the problem, and then identifying the person who might be the most resistant and figuring out how do we bring this all together and really point them towards what the issue truly is.
Right. Right. I just love seeing you in this light. Like, it's just, I'm just over here, like, look at my friend. Like, she's just so great. I'm just like,
I
she,
I love this word.
yes, I love that. I love that. And that's what we need. We
Yes,
need people who look like us. Although everyone needs help. Everyone needs help, but we
yes,
do need people who look like us, who are passionate about the work that they do and make it feel possible to heal or get better,
yeah,
whatever area of growth that is needed. So,
absolutely.
this just makes me smile so much. I love it.
And
Talk
I could also speak to why we are the minority within this field a little bit as well
about it,
too.
sister. Yes.
Okay, there's a lot of things about becoming a therapist that people do not know. I think people think you go to undergrad and you become a therapist. No, I could not get a job in a therapeutic office providing therapy with an undergraduate degree. It requires you getting your master's. And there's a plethora of different degrees that you can do them in that look, the pathway might look a little different. So I will only speak to marriage and family therapy for right now. Um, Once you go to your master's program, you're doing it technically it's 2 years if you can fit it in. I did mine in 4
Hmm.
because you can course it out yourself depending on the school. So
Hmm.
you do your coursework for the first 3 years, which might be your 1.5 year if you're able to stick to the 2 track. And then your final courses are internship courses where you have to go and get an internship from somewhere. And you
Hmm.
have to get a certain amount of hours working directly with clients, right? And that sounds like cool, right?
Hmm.
Okay, piece of cake, I'll get an internship. Your school may not provide the internship for you, okay?
Okay.
That's for one. My school provided a list, and there is a database where you can look up approved supervisors, locations, blah, 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 blah. But they will not give you an internship. You have to find one, which, okay, Great. Boots to the ground, find an internship, right? The other caveat is, at least within the state of Georgia, interns do not get paid. If you are in grad school, you're not getting paid. The amount of hours that you have to complete to graduate, if you want to graduate with like in that year, it's
Yeah.
almost a full-time job that you
Mhm.
would have to do. And you would have to possibly work at a hospital that would provide you with plenty of those hours, plenty of clients, right? But you're not getting paid. So what do you do? Do you work your 9 to 5 or do you go and do your internship? I was blessed enough to find a private practice where I can get my hours and set my own schedule. But that means I was working my 9 to 5.
Right.
From 5 to 10, I'm working with clients right after. I'm not getting paid for those hours after. Okay, so that's one caveat. Then you graduate. Cool. Again, I was blessed enough to be able to stay with this private practice after I've graduated. I am currently waiting to get my information back about taking my associate's license exam. That
Yes.
thank you. So excited. That exam is like 500 something dollars.
Hmm.
Okay, there's no real assistance to pay for that exam. I get paid now to see clients, but I only get 30% of what I bring in because that's just how my private practice structures their payment for interns and postgraduate students. But imagine that whole year or two, it took me almost a year and a half
Yeah.
to graduate with no pay. If I had to work a full-time job, I considered selling my house to do it full time. But again, I'm blessed enough to have an asset that I could have explored
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not everyone is in that position. I've
Right.
had friends take second jobs or have to leave their primary source of income to complete their internships. And even after I'm done, and even after I get my license, I'm not fully licensed yet. It might take me another year and a half to get the rest of the hours that I need.
Oh my gosh.
And if you're not in a situation like myself, where I'm able to get a lower cost supervisor fee, because your supervisor will charge you to give you supervision. Luckily, I'm able to again have a situation where my supervisor is like, here's a reduced fee, right? Or else you have to pay a supervisor postgraduate to continue with your supervision because you have to have X amount of hours. And you have to have X amount of hours before you get fully licensed. And they really say fully licensed people, it might take you 2 years to get all of those hours. And that's working full time.
Yeah. For nada.
So there are a lot of hoops that therapists across the board have to go through. And there's a lot of unpaid moments. And when I got into this field, I realized that is why we don't see as many Black therapists at this moment. Now, there were a lot in my class,
Mhm.
in the classes that I went through,
More in general, but
correct.
for
But it's
what
not easy.
started.
It's
Yeah.
not easy. It's not cheap
Yeah.
at all. Um, and they provide you with certain things. I can understand why they don't provide you with everything if you have to go out and do that. But I get a lot of interns that say, "Hey, is the private practice you work for, are they taking interns? Are they taking interns?" They're always reaching out and they're always asking because I did that for 3 months looking for a location. But this is a field where it definitely requires you to work and sometimes for free.
Yeah.
And working for free in your 30s is like, that's like a mind boggle right
Yeah.
there.
And I would also say, just with like our starting point as a people, right? Like it's
Yeah.
so much further back. Like even when I did AmeriCorps, I did my gap year when I had moved to Boston for a little bit. We were
Hmm.
only getting paid $12,000 a year, and that was before tax.
That,
So, and a lot of people in my core group, it was like 138 of us. Most of them were white, and it makes sense because your parents are paying for this gap year, this year for you to explore yourself, figure out what you want to do next. While a lot of us are like, well, we genuinely don't know what we want to do. People of
yeah.
color, we don't want to just jump into a degree, another degree, and be even more in debt.
Hmm.
But we still want to make an impact in life to people who look like us. But it's hard. Like I was
Yeah.
making less than $1,000 a month. My rent was $600. that I had to pay for. I also had to find my own roommates, and we had to get on food stamps because we only had $300 left. Plus, I didn't even mention utilities. And I had to leave my car in Georgia because there was no money left.
That's crazy. But like you take the steps, but they're not easy. So if
Yeah,
you ever wonder where
yeah.
the black people at, like the black people gotta work.
Money.
Yes, the black people have to
Exactly.
make money. Um, but again, I had a lot of blessings around me. A lot of things fell into place, which I believe just further confirmed my purpose within this field.
Right.
But I'm hyper aware of the inequalities
Mm,
that we face coming into this field. And
mm,
it is tough and it can be hard and it can be demoralizing. You can get burnt out depending on the type of internship you have to take. Again,
right.
hospital internship is very different
I
from
believe
a
it.
private practice internship. And I'm doing the work now to balance out that expertise level for myself. So I work another job that works with high risk adolescents and young adults because I'm like, I need a little bit of the expertise I didn't get from the hospital
Yeah.
setting because
Yeah.
I went the private practice route to fit with my work schedule. So
Mm,
there's a lot of like give and take. Again, a lot of unpaid moments, especially to be in your 30s.
yeah.
But if you want the field, go for it. But I recognize that the lack or the few, trying to think of the best word for this. Black people are not coming into the field as prevalently as other groups because of some of these setbacks that are in place.
Mhm. Do you feel like, because now I feel like I have to pivot my questions a bit.
I'm
Do you
sorry.
like, no, 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 this is what I do. Do you feel like because of what you've gone through, do you feel like that puts a lot of weight on you as a Black therapist? Like, not only do you have to show up in this space being excellent, essentially, but do you feel like you have to go even harder for your clients because of the work and the work that you're still doing to be in this space of privilege since the journey is so complex?
It's made me hyper aware of therapy is not the one-stop shop, honestly. Working with my clients and work and seeing other clients, I realize that therapy is only like one part of the cog in the machine. We cannot out therapy the lack of resources.
Mhm.
And also when you talk about you switching to EMDR, we can't talk therapy out your trauma. Not all the time. There are other things that we have to do. They're continuing education, going to get other skills. I've considered going to be certified as an EMDR therapist. That would kind of change the trajectory of where I want to focus though as well. So I have to take that into consideration. What type of clients am I searching for? What type of clients do I want to fill my practice? I'm hyper aware of how I present online, what content I'm talking about, what am I offering? Luckily, I am surrounded by a sea of Black therapists. My practice that I work for, all Black.
Oh, wow.
A Black man owns it. My
Oh, wow.
supervisor is Black. I'm surrounded by Black people. The resources that I have around me, the other people that have reached out to work with me are Black. So I love that space, but I'm hyper aware of that space and who I want to be around and who do I want to treat. But also I'm in a place of privilege and I realize like some people just need fucking money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's just that. So I see it as from a privileged place, but it just made me hyper aware that like I'm doing something great, but I might need to do something even greater. I might need to do something that's out of therapy to help my clients. A long-term goal for me, 5 to 10 year goal, would be to be in a place where I have full self-pay clients that have no problem paying my fee because maybe $25 from their fee goes to help me go and see underserved communities, underprivileged communities that can't afford the typical private practice rate. but I can go into those communities and offer group or
Hmm.
family sessions. My time is already covered from the clients that I know that can pay for it. So
Right.
those are things that I'm constantly thinking about on how to be better and how to really serve the community that's around me with the resources that they actually need.
I love that. So I was going to give you some time to kind of plug in your other avenues because when I was researching your website, I was like, okay, Janae does a lot. So if you want to elaborate on more of who you are and what you do, since therapy is only one umbrella or like one branch of what you do, feel free to use this platform to share more about what you do, who you are, and what you love.
Awesome. Okay, so other things that I do outside of therapy, which therapy does take up most of my week, which I love. I'm also a wedding officiant as well in Georgia. I can do officiate weddings outside of the state, but that is extra money. But I am a wedding officiant. I'm also a speaker, so if anyone wants to hire me to work any groups or any workshops, any speaking engagements, I love getting on stage and talking about topics of love, communication, relationships. How can we show up better for ourselves, to show up better for our families that we currently have or the families that we want to have? Something that you did not see on my website yet
PT.
is I'm also working on a dating strategy sector of my of my work. I've been working with a few people on dating strategy. What that means is I may not be able to bring you Mr. Right or Mrs. Right, but I can absolutely help you get to having more fulfilling dates and being more distinct on who you like, what you don't like, and who you need to move to the side. I think that that's something that as women and as Black men, we are struggling with in the dating world. And again, I might not be able to bring Mr. or Mrs. Right to you.
But clarity helps. And
Yes, clarity.
Janae, you can use me. Okay. You
Okay.
I,
Expect big things in 2026. I'm
I,
still
I'm ready.
trialing out all of the steps. I want to be able to offer a la carte services. I want to be able to help people with their profiles, but also flirting and dating in real time. We have lost the art of flirting,
Mojo,
people.
the mojo. Yes,
We
I agree.
lost it. So if you are in Atlanta, look out for that in 2026.
I love this. And any way that I can help and use my platform to, share the word, or again, if you want to use me as a test,
Yes.
your girl wants to get married in this decade. So
That's what I am rooting for all of my Black people to have fruitful, loving relationships, marriages, families. That is the goal. When we talk about community, community is family. And of
mhm.
course, I see you as an extension of my family, but there's so much joy in creating a family in whatever way works for you. There are some people who say like, I don't have a family because I don't want children.
Mhm.
You have a person standing next to me. Like that is your family. And
Right.
as we continue to build our own families, we can continue to pour into our community. Community is the biggest thing that we have right now. It's the only thing that we will always have.
Yep.
And building that community, building those families, building the loving, non-traumatic Black experiences that we deserve
Yeah.
is always at the forefront of my mind, which is kind of what started the dating strategy as well.
I love that. Again, let me know how I can help. Um,
Absolutely.
we are going to close because I feel like this is a great area to close in. Any last words? It could be about love, it could be about what you do, it can be about patience, it could be anything that you're feeling to close. No problem.
Um, what's one final word? I'll leave it on communication. Listening is just as big a part as what you say as anything. We have to spend a lot more time listening. I think we spend time listening to respond and not getting to the end of what a person has to say. And whether you agree or disagree, really take the time to listen because oftentimes when we're communicating back, we're not even responding to the right thing. So take some time to learn how to listen in order to be a better communicator.
I love that. And also, please plug your socials so people can follow you.
Yes, my socials are Janae Breon, Janae space Breon, Breahn. You should be able to find me on Instagram, on TikTok, and then JanaeBreon.com has everything that we've spoken about today.
Yes, it does. And the website looks very good. It is
Thank
easy to
you.
navigate. So definitely check my girl out. Thank you so much, Janae, for your time.
Thank you.
Um, on a personal level, I'm very proud of you. On a professional level, I'm very proud of you.
Thank
And
you.
I'm just so grateful to have had this conversation with you today. So
I've
congrats
loved
on
it.
everything.
Thank you so much for even thinking about interviewing me.
Of course, girl, of course. Of course.